and the latest numbers and the medical response. But I want to focus tonight on what I think is an even bigger crisis, and that is the economic, social, and above all, human cost of the total shutdown policy. No one should question the seriousness of this virus, and especially, as I said last week, the need to avoid so many hospitalizations at the same time that our medical system can't cope. The chosen strategy is social distancing, and right now that involves extreme measures to shut down daily life. But there is a huge gap between sensible social distancing and the total shutdown spreading across the country. Just as the spread of coronavirus creates a curve of the number of people infected, this economic shutdown is creating a curve of the numbers of people affected, losing their jobs, their homes, their businesses. I'm not sure that the people on TV have grasped how serious this is. To the extent they're focusing on it at all, they're using completely the wrong frame of reference. They talk about a recession, like the one we had in 2008. What planet are they on? We've never seen this before, a total self-imposed shutdown of the economy. Businesses, large, medium and small, will lose all their revenue. Not a slight reduction or even a steep reduction like in a recession, but all of it gone. No income, nothing, potentially for months, we're told, unless we change course. The best case is the worst recession since the Second World War. The moderate scenario is that it's on a par with the Great Depression. The worst case scenario, where this shutdown continues for months, is even worse than the Great Depression. We hear about a V-shaped curve, a dramatic fall and a quick bounce back, maybe. But if the V is as deep as the Grand Canyon, that is a hell of a climb. In Washington today, the Senate failed to advance the latest coronavirus relief package, so negotiations will continue on what's looking to be a $2 trillion stimulus plan. Let's talk about that plan. And as we do, let's remind ourselves what this is all about. Men and women across America who have risked everything, worked every hour to follow their dreams and build a business. Local businesses that are not just economic units, but the lifeblood of a community. Most of the people in Congress, most of the talking heads on TV, they've never started a business and don't understand business. I have, and I do. So what I'm about to say comes not just from my perspective as someone who's run policy at the heart of a large government, but someone who's run a small business. A number of them, actually, including one, a restaurant that was at the heart of its community. President Trump gets this too. He understands business. He loves entrepreneurs. He loves America's small businesses and farmers and all the workers who rely on them for a living and to support their families. So this economic curve we're about to take a nosedive on, it is not just about money. It's about the heart and soul of this country. In the hours ahead, let's make sure the congressional stimulus package doesn't miss the target. Part of it will be spent sending a check to every American on April the 6th and another on May the 18th. But by April the 6th, hundreds of thousands of businesses will have closed and millions of people will be unemployed. Worse, it will be those with the most precarious lives, least able to cope. By May, my God, millions of businesses will go under and tens of millions will be unemployed. Look, more money is always welcome for hard-pressed Americans. But this is not about stimulus, it's about survival. And the whole send a check scheme misunderstands why someone goes under or not. If you're a small business, you have bills to pay right now, not in April or May, now. Payroll, rent. But you have no revenue. Thanks to the government's total shutdown, you have to let people go. So then they don't have income to pay their rent or their mortgage. And before you know it, you have mass unemployment and families on the streets. Millions of viable businesses murdered by the government. The second part of the current congressional plan, a small business loan scheme. Larry Kudlow, who you'll see later tonight on this show, he says it can work quickly. But even the help that's supposed to be there right now doesn't work. A friend of mine tried to use the Small Business Administration emergency grant program this week. The website was wrong, the details were wrong, it is a total mess. Businesses are folding today, tomorrow, Tuesday. Who's got time to fill out forms, send them in to some giant bureaucracy, wait for an answer, and even if it's yes, then find yourself saddled by crippling loans for years? And don't get me started on the third part of the so-called stimulus plan, bailouts for big business. I think there is a quicker and simpler way to flatten the economic curve. Businesses have insurance policies to cover them for loss of revenue. The problem is a pandemic isn't covered. But if the government stood behind the insurance companies and said, we'll indemnify you for any coronavirus payouts, then the insurance companies could be getting money to businesses straight away, covering their revenue so they can stay afloat and keep people employed. We can incentivize insurance companies to do it quickly. By the way, quickly means within 7 days, not April. On top of that, announce a nationwide policy of no evictions or foreclosures, residential or commercial. Of course, this would all cost a vast amount of money, which they seem to be spending like water. It went from 1 trillion to 2 in a couple of days. Quite frankly, if they keep up the shutdowns till the end of May, they'll need 5 trillion. If it's till August, 12 trillion. This is an inconceivable amount of public money. It amounts to a total government takeover of the economy. Are we ready for that? Can we afford that? Well, even if we can't, at least let's spend the money we can afford in ways that actually save our businesses. But there's a much better way to flatten the economic curve. Dr. Fauci says he's fine overreacting.
I like it when people are thinking I'm overreacting because that means we're doing it just right.
Well, that's easy for him to say. He'll still have a job at the end of this, whatever happens. Our ruling class and their TV mouthpieces whipping up fear over this virus, they can afford an indefinite shutdown. Working Americans can't. They'll be crushed by it. You know that famous phrase, the cure is worse than the disease? That is exactly the territory we are hurtling towards. You think it's just the coronavirus that kills people? This total economic shutdown will kill people. A UK study calculated that 130,000 people died avoidably from austerity there between 2012 and